AT fans, Monk here. And today's trail bite is going to be on the rocks of Pennsylvania. Going into my thru hike, one of the things that is more hyped as you do the research and you read about the trail and what do you need to be concerned about or what do you need to prepare for, one of the most hyped things was the rocks of Pennsylvania, and how, what a nightmare they were. And if you read this stuff or listen to this stuff, you start to, it gets in your head. I mean, it got in my head. I mean, I thought, oh my God. I mean, I really thought my feet were going to be like bloody shreds and I was going to have to go to the hospital, and these sharp rocks and how brutal it was, and it could end your hike. And so look, I don't want to minimize anyone else's perspective on the rocks of Pennsylvania. And the thing is everybody's going to have a perspective or a different perception of anything. And there's so many factors that go into it. I mean, so many. How old are you? What kind of shape are you in? How's your attitude at the time? Do you have any injuries? What's going on with the weather? Is the humidity high? Is it low? Everyone is going to have a very, very different experience, depending on, the situation, the circumstances, the terrain, what have you. Okay, so again, I am only speaking from my perspective. It is fine for you to not agree with that. That's okay. You don't feel the need to tell me that. It's okay. I respect and honor your point of view. Again, these Monk trail bites are just from my perspective, okay? And so the perspective I want to give you on the rocks of Pennsylvania. Number one, I think the hype is the most overblown thing on the entire trail. I think if I were to put a percentage on it, I would say it averages, in terms of the actual amount of rocks, is about 10%, maybe 15% of the entire trail. Pennsylvania, to me, was one of the best states, and almost nobody says that. I loved Pennsylvania. I thought it was beautiful. The first more than 50% of Pennsylvania, it's all rolling farmlands, and it was a little muddy in places, and I went through during a flood, and sometimes the water was up to my knees, but it was part of the adventure, and one time I went to a campsite and the water was up to my waist, but I digress. Okay, as far as the rocks are concerned, there are stretches, of course, you like have a mile of rocks, but then you might have 2 miles of dirt, and there's some longer ones, and there's the small sharper rocks, and then there's the kind of medium-sized rocks, and then kind of the boulder rocks. And number one, you just need to have a positive attitude about it, and maybe a strategy. For me, I went light. I resupplied only every couple days, so my pack was very light, and I made a kind of a game of it where I just kind of just paid attention and kind of jumped from rock to rock. And I actually went very, very quickly. In fact, I probably traveled faster in Pennsylvania than any of the other states that I hiked in. So I had fun with the rocks. It was very hot. It was 170-degree heat index, so I had that. But really, it's just a question of putting things into perspective. And as far as to hype the rocks in Pennsylvania, it's like there's nothing compared to New Hampshire and Maine. Nothing, like no thing at all. You want rocks? Head up north, get there, you'll get some rocks. So maybe at that point, I think maybe people haven't had a lot of rocks up to that point if they're coming from the south, and it's kind of a shock. But I'm sure to a southbounder going from Maine down to Georgia, they get to Pennsylvania like, yeah, whatever, So anyway, I just share that, put it in perspective. I really didn't find them that bad. Make sure you have good footwear, and if you can, maybe you have sturdier footwear during the Pennsylvania part of it. That might be a great strategy, but quite honestly, I wouldn't worry too much about them. So, Monk out.